Morning and welcome back. We're having our conversation as part of our 22 Acts of Service for Baptist Sigma Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We are celebrating MLK Day in the grand fashion here at the Life Development Center on Hardin Boulevard in Baton Rouge. I would like to stay on campus of Southern University, or just across from the campus of Southern University and AU College. I'm Robert Merrick. I'm joined by an amazing panel this morning, and we're going to have a conversation about educational development. That's one of the 5-point programmatic thrust for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We've got 4 other areas that we're talking about. We just talked about economic development, moving on to educational development, and then we'll come back a little later and talk more about physical and mental health today. So we want you to stay with us on our Facebook Live. We've got a great audience here in the studio today. I'm calling it our studio. We've got a great audience here as well. So joining me on the panel as we get ready to talk about Read Today and Be Rewarded Forever is Ms. Phaedra Early. She's the supervisor of literacy coaching for the State Department of Education here in Louisiana. Phaedra, raise your hand to us who you are. Also joining us is Natasha Edwards. She's our Chief Academic Officer for East Baptist Parish Schools. Good morning and welcome as well. Good morning. And Dawn Mitchell-Harris, member of Baptist Sigma Alumni Chapter. She's also the second vice president of programs, and she's leading one of our efforts in our 22 Acts of Service with Ryan Elementary here in Stallingville Community. Good morning. Good morning. All right, ladies, let's get started in our conversation about reading. All of you all are very committed to reading, obviously, as our chief academic officer, our literacy coach for the state, and then our community partner here with Ryan Elementary and those activities. So I want to start with you, Natasha, telling us a little bit about what you do in the district here in East Baton Rouge.
Thank you. I recently returned to East Baton Rouge Parish this school year as the Chief Academic Officer for the East Baton Rouge Parish School System. But true story, my foundation began as a kindergarten teacher. So I feel like this is a full circle moment for me as an educator. I began, this is my 25th year as an educator, where I taught kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. And then I had an opportunity to serve as a principal and an assistant principal. And then I had a short journey to work with Dr. Early and her team at the State Department of Education. So to be back here in East Baton Rouge Parish and be, I consider myself the lead learner around all things academics. I get an opportunity to work with a really dynamic team where we are looking to align all of our academic programs so that we can make sure that we're servicing our kids from pre-K to 12 at the high school.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, Dr. Edwards, the work at the state, you've got the entire state, you've got all 64 parishes under your umbrella. Tell us a bit about that.
All right. Good morning, everyone. As Katasha said, former colleague, I'm currently at Louisiana State Department of Education in the Literacy Division. We're a small but mighty team where in the last 4 years we've rolled out lots of policies, beginning with our reading revivers, where we're really taking a look at how can we make sure that students of Louisiana are on grade level and ready and excited about reading. 28 years of education with my beginning being in kindergarten. So kindergarten, first, second is my heart and foundation. And we know that no matter how far we go with PhDs, it starts in those kindergarten classrooms, those early childhood classrooms. So our, I used to say promotion, but our push is to make sure that not only our students are getting that education, but our teachers are getting that education, that training, and our parents are awesome.
All right, thank you. Dawn, you are passionate about education, you're passionate about reading. I know this because we talk about it often. So share a little bit about the work that Baptist Sigma is doing as it relates to education development and our outreach into the community.
So here at Baptist Sigma, we like to act as a resource and oftentimes a bridge. We have a chapter of 300 plus brilliant women, and we like to use our resources to impact the community. And one of those ways is through educational development. And currently, we are engaged in the Release with Ryan. It is a partnership with Southern University where we are purchasing books for Ryan Elementary. Those books, that registry can be found on Amazon. If you search Amazon gift registries for Ryan Elementary, You can purchase a couple of books. They will be mailed directly to Ryan Elementary, and they will provide a lasting impact for that community. Ryan is in the process of rebuilding their library. And with our contributions, we hope to end the drive with donating over 400 books in their library. So, those books will be there for years to come. We have been in contact with the school, and they are just excited about the packages that they see coming on Amazon.
I know. Don't we all get excited when we see Amazon? Come down the street.
I had an opportunity to peruse that card, and it really looks like it was created with students' interest in mind. So I actually have a few of those books in my card to send to Ryan, but I was like, ooh, how am I gonna decide? Like, this is a good one, this is a good one, and just like the array of ones that are available. So I think that it's worth if someone would like to donate a book, going to that card to see that array of books that are available.
Right, and I even said that, some of the books were so deep that I bought more than one. So we get 2 books just in case the 2 children that want to have this book at the same time in the library will have 2. So, don't stop at one. If you want to get 2 or 3, that's fine. But certainly fill that library card, fill that card up with books for the library. We're about to say something as well?
Just let me know that I purchased my two.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I heard you whisper something over there. Okay, so you said you got your 2 as well.
Yeah.
And I know our audience is here today with us for your books if you haven't already done so. Those of you who are watching us online as well, to get your books and have them in place for Ryan Elementary. One of the things that we all know, and I don't want to gloss over it, I know we know it, but we want to really reiterate it, that it all begins with reading. You can't do anything else in life if you don't have the ability to read. And so it's so fundamental. We can say that all the time. Reading is fundamental. I remember when the bookmobile would come around. I don't know if you all old enough to remember that. The bookmobile would actually come around to your schools, and you could get books, and it was called RIF. It was the RIF folks, and that's what it stood for. Reading is fundamental. We would just say reading is fun. And so that was the thing. My mom was an elementary school librarian at Ryan Elementary. She was the first librarian at Ryan. They opened the school back in 1969. And that library was near and dear to us. I mean, she poured her life into it. And she poured that reading, that love of reading into us, such that we have a library at home, that we have all these children's books that go back. So let's talk about that, how reading really is fundamental, and it starts in the home. And I'll start with you.
To your point, not only is it fundamental, there's, we have all of these taglines and graphics. And I don't know if you've seen the one that says that reading is a civil right, because it is. It is based on the premise that we owe all of our students that foundation and that right to read. And I think that I always use myself as an example. I think about my childhood. And my parents working during the summer, I had an opportunity for her to drop us off at the public library.
Oh, yeah.
So she would come home for lunch, and we could go back and we could spend copious amounts of time in the library. And I'm sure that I read things that I shouldn't have read too early. It was funny because there's 2 things my parents never said to my books and my music. I could listen to what I want to listen to, and I could read whatever I want to read. So I think that as a country, as a school system, we have to get back to basics and helping students develop a passion and a love for literacy, a love for reading. Now, it was different because the students that we have today, they're not limited to just books. Hard copy, I love me a hard copy. I want to highlight, I want to answer, I want to take notes. But we have to know that we have a different set of kids that are in front of us today. But educators, we have to figure out how to give them that same love for literacy through the modes that they are exposed to, the modes that they have access to. I'm sure I didn't answer the question, but literacy is one of my passions. I'm sure I'll take a tangent or something.
No, it's okay. Yeah, this is very key things that were shared here, so I think we're good. And so, Sasha, when we get into literacy coaching and really getting kids excited about reading, it's not something that they're often excited about. They're excited about, the electronic stuff, we're on social media. We love Facebook. I know I don't want to trash it because we're on it right now. Which is a good thing. We want you to stay with us. But so much of the delivery of things is happening electronically, it's happening television, streaming services, and so forth. we doing to really put that love of reading back in our children?
We are educating our teachers. We're promoting our teachers. We're giving them access to trainings. We're giving them coaches that model best practices for those teachers to be able to deliver that love for reading. We're also doing certain initiatives or training or teaching or modeling and supporting system leaders so that they know that this is important, that literacy is here and it's vital. We're doing various initiatives like making sure that books are in classrooms. Different waves come through where curriculum is so heavy and we pull books away, but we're constantly saying, okay, new curriculum, but those books still stay. And making sure that children have access to them, making sure that teachers have access to them, whether it is hardback or digital. So basically, we're supporting our teachers to make sure that they're over those students also.
And even going back to the question that we asked Katasha, and that is, what are we doing in terms of getting the kids, or even parents, are we able to reach parents to say, hey, read to your children? That's one of the areas that I think we oftentimes hear that may not be happening the way it once happened. So any work going on in that space?
Yeah, we have a really robust parental engagement division in Spanish Parish. So we're constantly getting the word out, the importance of literacy foundations, and reading to children. I think sometimes it's overshadowed by the accountability piece because now literacy, even down third grade, can impact students' ability to progress to the next grade level. So I think the key is for us to keep the accountability piece there, but be able to support parents with how they can help. So I know that a number of our schools host literacy nights. They host lunch and learns. They do call outs, and it's just, we have to continue to communicate the word. Because what I know about communication is just because we send it doesn't mean that it is received and it's acted upon. So I would always use my son as an example, a 2-year-old boy, and I would always tell him communication is only good if it's received and acted upon. So like if I send it and it's not received and something is not done, I need to send it a different way. I need to host a different thing. So as a district, in a large district with 40,000 kids, we have to continue to communicate the message and communicate it all. So that's what we're doing.
Education is definitely a two-way street. You're going to add.
One thing, I just hate sometimes to talk so much about policy, but policy has been enacted with reading plans, where if a student is not on level, there's a plan that takes place first from the teacher, but that plan is given to the parents. And through that plan, it gives that parent knowledge about where your student is, but not only where they are, but what can I do at home to support them, to help them. So simple things like that incorporate with our family literacy nights, book drives, there is a connection that is being made.
Absolutely. I want to talk to you a bit about, because I think all of you all are familiar with Volunteers in Public Schools here in East Baton Rouge Parish, better known as VIPS. And we have a member of our chapter here who is the executive director, that's Judy Deathley, of Volunteers in Public Schools, that works hand in hand with the school district to bring volunteers into the schools to work one-on-one with the children to help enhance their reading. Anyone want to chime in on that, the work of VIPS, because it's an integral part of PPR such that it's part of the budget as well.
Yes, we have this throughout East Baton Rouge Parish, and they do a really good job. I think one of the things they can put on is the one-on-one that happens. Because we know that our teachers are inundated with things that they have to do, and they're working with students in home group, small group, but the VIPS partnership allows one-on-one support for students when they come into the schools. One of the things that I know that Ms. Deathley has been working on is training for those volunteers so that they can receive the most up-to-date training around the science of reading. Because we know that reading foundations is reading foundations, but we know that literacy support has evolved. So we want to make sure that we have our volunteers come in, but nothing replaces having someone to read to you and read with you. So if nothing else, that's helping to foster that love for reading. And I know that many of our teachers give those volunteers things they can do quickly, things that they can do quickly, things that they can do to support students with building the foundation. So I would say that our village volunteers are primarily in our younger grades, which is where we need the foundation.
Absolutely. But there's volunteers are all in the first, second, third grade areas, really helping the elementary schools. And in addition to reading, this is working on math skills as well. So both of those things really help because the foundation isn't laid at that elementary level. You're really going to have challenges going forward. And I think that's what you all are aiming to do is how do we build that foundation such that when these students matriculate on to sixth grade and high school and so forth, that the foundation is there. Those teachers are not going back and teaching things that should have happened prior to that.
To your point, and we'll have a 2.0 version of this conversation, but there's a parallel conversation around that. We know that we have to teach our students to be proficient readers, but we have to teach them to do math as well. So there is policy and legislation around literacy, but there's that parallel policy and legislation around math, foundations, math fluency. So we're two-pronged attacking that in our district and our schools.
We have a number of our members, and y'all just get the data overall, members who are doing a number of things. We have a lot of members who are in education, some level of education. And because I can remember growing up, many of the members were actually school teachers. And so that's part of our audience as well today. There are lots of school teachers that are passionate about this subject. They're just passionate about students learning. And what do we want to say is a takeaway, if we could, to those who are both in education, maybe not in education? What can we do to really help further the work that you all are doing? In addition to buying your books for writing, that's one something you know that. Beyond that,
I would say everybody has a role. So I think about conversations that we had even at the district level. You know, we have been charged by the superintendent that everyone has a place to support student outcomes. So I think identifying that what strength do you have, and to your point, so even some sorors that are in other capacities, they have strengths that they can lend to the school. So I think identifying what your strengths are and where you would like to support, because I know that our schools would welcome with open arms anyone that would want to come in and work with students.
I'll do a shameless plug for volunteers in public schools. I served on their board and I'm the advisory board right now. I definitely want to say that that is one way we
That's a good place to see.
join volunteers in public schools and be trained to come in, half an hour or 1 hour a week to work with the students each week. And that's so beneficial. The teachers have told us that they see the difference when someone is working one-on-one with the students. Are you going to add to that as well? I know you was confused on the side of amen. I guess I'm amen and all that. Amen and everything that you said. And Don, you work in that volunteer space as well with students.
Yes, yes. So our chapter actively participates annually in reading across America with this. And so we love to go into the schools, inaugurate it, to spend the day reading to the students. And that was a question I wanted to ask. And just as a member of the community, as a member of a service-based organization, how can we be more involved? How can we be assistant?
Yeah, I would say, because I participated as an educator and as a member of the sorority, and that everybody reads throughout that day. But I think we have to realize that it's 180 days the students are in school. So there are many opportunities, and we can chat offline about how the sorority could engage at a deeper level. I know that historically we've gone thus far. So even if we start with partnership with specific schools, like, does the school already take on a partnership? And do we challenge other group letter organizations to take on a partnership? Because if we have, these 44 elementary schools, what if they all have one organization?
That would be fantastic.
Right. We've done some work with our high school. We've been at Cornell's as well. And so, yeah, I like that idea. And for the community, once we have this chat offline, we do have a resource page on our website, urcenter.org. It's our I Am Delta Smart web link. Under that, we will place any information. We will also make sure to put the contact information for this on there as well.
So I'm going to pause just for a moment. Thank you for that, because we do want everyone to go to our website and get more information. If you're missing something here today. Certainly, if you have any questions, if you're online and you have questions, please put them in the chat. We're going to try to address the questions right now. We'll start with the audience questions first. Those people in the audience, if you have a question, burning or otherwise, we'd love to hear from you. Oh, I love it. We got we'll start on this side. Come this way.
I know we spoke about supporting throughout the school year, but also we know that so much of learning is lost during the summer. So how can we support parents and students during the summer, just as educators, but also just thinking of, like, for you as your organization, how can that support also be done?
I'm going to repeat the question in case those online couldn't hear it, but she's asking us specifically about learning loss in the summertime. Students are finishing up the school year, what happens over the summer, and how can individuals really support parents and teachers in this space where learning is lost over the summer.
I know that we have, as a school district, many opportunities for students to attend summer programs. Even though I'm new back to the district, I'm a parent, so I had an opportunity to preview that from last summer. And I know that there are at various levels, different types of opportunities for students to engage at the school system level with summer programming. Another way that we can do that is just the summer reading program. The East Baton Rouge Parish Library hosts the summer reading program. I have a 22-year-old, and I remember just with her being signing up for the summer reading program, it comes with opportunities for students to engage at the library and at home through reading. And then there's also many opportunities for our students that attend East Baton Rouge Parish to engage if they have digital access through Clever. Because a lot of the programming that students have access to during school year, they also have access to it.
So a little bit more about Clever.
Clever is a single-stop sign-on platform where students have access to digital platforms, so any platforms that students engage with on a daily basis to make it easier. You know, we think about even our young students are very much digital citizens. So they log in through Clever and are able to get to any program that they would need to access. So they also have that access.
So we should be on the Clever.
Yes.
Yes.
We know.
What exactly is Clever? Just want to make sure we all understand it. Next
So
question.
just to tag onto her question, I'm also a parent of a toddler. And sometimes, especially nowadays, there's so much screen time that's being replaced with, I guess, the educational aspect of learning. So, like, you know, you have your TV out there, you have a lot of online YouTube channels where they teach literacy, but it's really not literacy because I think based off of when my sisters were growing up, when they got to a certain level, they were able to read certain things by the time they got 2, 3, 4 years old. Well, now I'm seeing that a lot of the younger kids are lacking in that area because of, I guess, the digitized option. So to parents who have, who don't quite understand how that is impacting their children's ability to really learn, what advice can you give them to kind of break away from the tablet sometimes and replace it with the book? Because, I mean, we are in a technology-driven society, but nothing can replace the actual art of reading.
Okay, to recap her question, in case the online audience didn't hear, she's concerned about screen time versus actual book time. And although there is literacy training on YouTube and various other channels, if I'm saying that correctly, it's not necessarily literacy training, but and students are not necessarily reading at grade level. So I hope, honestly, that books never go away. And I get the whole, everybody's got a Kindle and I can read things, but I still want a book in my hand. So I hope and pray that books never go away. I mean, I love the additional options, but let's hope that books never go away. So what is your response? Any of our parents?
I think you said it, like parents have to say, hey, take the Kindle away and let's read a book. But literacy goes beyond books. It's conversations. Sitting down to eat with your family, with your student, having those conversations in the grocery store, instead of having a tablet there. Okay, here's an orange, here's an apple. How was your day today? Just simple things like that. and incorporating that not only between child and parent, but saying, grandma, you need to do this too, aunt, uncle, we need to do this too. So it takes a community. And again, I always remember that literacy goes beyond just a book. How can we increase those conversations with that?
I would ping on to what Dr. Early said, and going back to what you said that resonated with me is that nothing replaces that human being. So, we know that parents, it find it easier sometimes to give them a tablet, and they may think that it's more helpful, but nothing replaces that human interaction, the human engagement, and if parents need support with finding what kinds of things to talk about with their students, the Louisiana Literacy Library has a robust parent and family page that has activities, like daily things that you can say, like to your point, supermarket, look around the supermarket, what types of cereal, what's that environmental print, like McDonald's, what does that say? Because our kids are learning at a very, very early age, but are we taking opportunities to talk to them about their learning and encourage them? And to her point, that speaking, the oral influencing happens at a very, very young age. And we want to make sure that we're able to pair it with their ability to read words and print. But if we're having those oral conversations with them at a young age, they're going to be prepared. They're going to have the background knowledge that they need when they engage with that and written.
And don't forget about our teacher fellows at night, to teachers, to people that want to become educators. And one of the things that I told them, sometimes you get pressed with curriculum and trying to get everything out, and you may see a nursery rhyme there. I don't have time to do hickory that. Yes, you do. The importance behind those rhyme and those simple rhymes we used to do. People kind of say, oh, they do that at home. No, they don't. So incorporate all of that old school stuff, everything that goes with that. Because those are the beginning pieces.
You say old school, and I'm sitting here just remembering back, growing up, my mother would be in the kitchen cooking, and it would be something as simple as get the cereal box off the shelf and read it to me. I want to hear you read Kellogg's cornflakes, and whatever else is on the box, just read it. And that even extended to the newspaper. She would always say, come in and read to me, I need to hear you read it. And so we learned, not only like, yeah, I know how to read it, but I prove it. I want to hear you read that. So similar to the grocery store, walking to the grocery store, read these things to me. Well, what is it saying? We're going to get Fruit Loops, or we're going to get cornflakes, or we're going to get Raisin Bran. Read it so that I can hear you and see these words.
To your point, and I think I've been an educator since I was a little girl. I really asked them exactly
Yeah,
it was usual. It was a joke at our house. Yeah, when we got there, we would sign reports, and we would all go in and do our research, and look up. So even though students don't have those handheld sets, they're never online. Like, how are we engaging our students so that they are like exploring and they want to learn more about the world?
I love it. That was the original Google. Encyclopedia Britannica, that was the original Google. I'm understand. We have two more questions. I'll be here first and then right here.
Along the same lines, we live in a Twitter 25 words or less technology arena. And I think the library has really done a good job of transitioning and getting teams more involved. I know we've talked about some of the ideas that you said, but what about people who are really challenged, teams to really get them to, what are some other things that you've seen locally or just nationally that have worked when you have more of a challenge to get them?
So the question is, what are some of the things that we've seen that have worked nationally or locally with teens specifically to get them to read in light of their social media engagement in a world where things are shortened? Communication is shortened. How do you really get them to expand on that?
I'm struggling on the inside because my students my children tell me that I'm way too working on my text. And I get punctuation. They're like, what are you doing? I was like, capital letter punctuation. That's how you get it on. They laugh at me all the time when I say text messages. But to your point, in our schools, it really goes back to the school level. We're building a culture for reading. I remember as a principal, there was an expectation. The students did a certain amount of reading weekly, and some of the parents didn't necessarily love it. But what I realized as a school building level administrator because it was a requirement at any given time, and those students were engaged in reading, because they had to get their reading done, even if it may have been at the last hour, they would get it done, but what we were doing was building a culture of reading. And I used my oldest daughter, who had that same expectation, she's now a junior in high school, I'm my oldest, my youngest daughter, a junior in high school, and she said, you know what, I don't have to do the AR anymore, and I'm just getting to love this AR thing. So subconsciously, it worked for her. She had to struggle and do it all those years, but now she has developed that love for reading. So I think as much as we can, help to build a culture of reading in our school buildings and at the classroom level on a daily basis.
I was gonna ask about the accelerated reader program because I remember when I was a child a long time ago, we used to have a certain amount of books that we had to read, and we would test on the computers regarding that to, I guess, say what we comprehended from the book. And from that point forward, we would get rewards such as personal pay and pizza coupons. Is there something in place to this day that's similar to that?
I said, some of our schools still use accelerated reader on a school-by-school basis, but then they have all kinds of copious amounts of programs that do the same amounts of things. So we have things like Readable or Sheet 1000, they're similar, but it's a digital format. So we do have those things in place. And it's just, to your point, bridging where it can be a requirement that develops into a law. But we do have those things in place.
And I guess that's the goal, the requirement such that it becomes habit.
Yes.
And before you know it is a love, because you're just so accustomed to doing it. The question was about accelerated reading and whether or not there were incentives in place for students to really, to do this reading along the way. So when you were going to
I'm
ask,
just confirming that as a parent of teenagers, accelerated reading is alive and well.
and if you all tell us, just for those of us who don't have students in the school system, tell us, you use the acronym AR. You tell us it's accelerated reader, just a little bit about the background of what that is.
Accelerated Reader is a program through Renaissance Learning where Sarah, our audience member, she described it accurately, where students are charged with reading on they have a zone of proximal development as EPD level, where students are where they are, they assess at the beginning, and they're charged with doing a certain amount of reading per marking period, and take a certain amount of tests. So depending on what school you're in, it may be that you're required to read so much fiction, so much nonfiction, and then you take an assessment on your comprehension of those books at the end of a marking period. So we don't have a district-wide implementation of accelerated reader, but many of our schools still utilize it very well.
I see. Yes. Thank you for that, that answer. I need to know that. Any other questions from the audience?
I only have one more.
Yes, ma'am.
As a parent of a toddler, right now I'm at a position where I don't want him to be behind. And I'm very adamant about getting a clear understanding of what the learning center where he actually goes, what they're actually teaching, because it's a big difference between daycare versus having a learning development center. So do we have any kind of resources for parents who are concerned that their child's getting what they need at a younger level so that they can properly, matriculate into going into kindergarten and not actually be behind?
That's a good question. Kindergarten readiness is very important.
Yeah.
And that's what you just described. You want to
Yeah.
make sure that your child is ready to enter those doors and be on par to where they need to be so that there are no learning gaps. I know that depending on where your child attends, if they are in East Orange Parish, or we are the lead agency for early childhood network, so I'm pretty sure that your child center will receive a rating that's aligned to the instruction that happens. So if you want to start with like looking up your center, seeing what their rating is, and then just having a conversation, what curriculum, that's, as a parent, you're entitled to ask, what curriculum do you guys use? And then the even bigger question is, how can I as a parent support the curriculum? Like, do you see something in a folder each week? So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
able to-
And I have like all of the charts and stuff on the wall. So I try to do my part. And I want to make sure that I have like a basis to go off of to know that we're actually excelling and not being behind by the time it gets to that, that age.
Yeah, I know that the state has the early childhood learning and development standards.
Okay.
So if you want to go online,
Yeah.
we can chat after this.
Okay.
To find those standards, if you want to see if your child's center is on par to cover the cost of dislocating those standards, that would be the place.
That'll work. Thank you so much.
I'm loving the conversation. We understand that education is so critical to everything that we do. Checking to see if we have any online questions from our online audience.
Again, there are no online questions, but the comments are very positive, stating that the information is very needed.
Fantastic. Thank you for your online comments. No questions but comments as well, so we do appreciate that. We're going to wrap up with just a moment, but as we come to a close on our conversation, I want to have you all to give us some parting words to our audience, folks here in the studio, as well as those who are online. Just any nugget that we can take with us as it relates to education and specifically literacy.
I would just say that since we're talking about literacy today, that reading matters. Period. You know, if I was my 16-year-old, she would just say, period, that reading matters. and it impacts everything. So if we just take away one thing, today that reading matters, and that, to your point, it's a community effort. The school, we have our part, but it's a community effort to ensure that our students are where they need to be so that they can be successful.
Okay, now.
If we have any teachers listening or parents, or read aloud. Read alouds are vital. I'm telling my current students this now, you're having a bad day in the classroom, stop, take a deep breath, and take out your favorite read aloud. And it becomes your favorite read aloud, becomes your student's favorite read aloud. So, don't forget those good read alouds.
Read alouds. And Dawn, I know we're going to close with Ryan Elementary, but before that, you have anything else to share with us?
Yes, join this. Volunteer in our public schools. We'll place that information on our website. And of course, donate to the Lacombe Meets with Ryan. You can search the Amazon registry for Ryan Elementary and we'll bring up that list.
All right, thank you, ladies. We've had a really great conversation. I think we have one more comment online.
This is actually a comment coming from one of our viewers, Tatiana Osaya. She is just wanting to share that Line for Line Hair Shop offers free haircuts and hairstyles for children during the first of each month at O'Neill Barber and Beauty Shop for children, inspiring the passion for reading. And again, that's Line for Line. They are located at 447 North Acadian Thruway, and they're trying to promote reading by offering those free haircuts.
And I think they also locally the free book too. Yeah.
Okay, so that's 447 North Acadian Thruway. Free haircuts, and you receive a book as well. And that's, what's the name of the barbershop? It's
Line for Line is the nonprofit organization, and it's located in O'Neill's Barber and Beauty Salon.
O'Neill Barber Beauty Salon. Thank you, Line for Line, for the work that you're doing to improve literacy in our community. It's so important, and we appreciate that. And thank you for that comment as well. Ladies, I want to thank you for being here. This has been a great conversation. I hope we're getting fired up for reading, and because it's going to be a snow day tomorrow, that is the perfect time to pull out your books and read. Turn off the television and read. Tomorrow is going to be a great time to do that. So pick up a book and just go for it. I already have my snacks in the All right, so we already know what we're going to do. Staying warm and reading on tomorrow. So thank you all for joining us. We'll be back in just a few minutes with our next session on physical and mental health. And we have our blood donation vehicle out in the parking lots, and we're going to all